Filipino fans erupted the moment Alex Eala stepped off the court after her Birmingham opener, and suddenly the road to Wimbledon felt more real than ever. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be back, and I can't wait to get out on court. I hope to see you there. For decades, the Edgbaston Priory Club has welcomed some of the biggest names in women's tennis. Champions like Ashley Barty, Karolina Pliskova, Angelique Kerber, and Ons Jabeur have all competed on these famous grass courts. But nothing had prepared Birmingham for this. Thousands of miles from home, Filipino flags waved proudly across the venue. Chants echoed through the stands. Tagalog voices bounced across the British grass courts, creating an atmosphere unlike anything the tournament had ever experienced. At the center of it all stood Alex Eala, just 21 years old, yet carrying the hopes of an entire nation. What made the moment even more remarkable wasn't simply what happened during her opening match. It was everything that happened before it. Just 6 days earlier, Eala was sitting courtside at Roland Garros after a painful first-round defeat to one of her closest friends on tour, Iva Jovic. The loss ended her French Open singles campaign almost as soon as it began. Iva is such a good friend of mine. She's definitely one of my closest friends on tour. We hugged before the match and after the match. There are no hard feelings. I'm sure we'll play many more times. The sportsmanship was admirable. The disappointment was undeniable. 5 days later, Eala was boarding a flight to England with far more than luggage. She carried the pressure of defending valuable ranking points throughout the grass court season. She carried the possibility of earning the first Wimbledon seeding of her career. And she carried the memories of what had happened in Birmingham just 1 year earlier. Because Birmingham wasn't simply another tournament. It was unfinished business. In 2025, Eala arrived as one of the tournament favorites, but suffered a heartbreaking defeat to Linda Fruhvirtova in a marathon 3-set battle. Reports suggested a troublesome foot injury played a role as the match slipped away after nearly 3 hours on court. The pain of that defeat never fully disappeared. Now she was back. And she wasn't only fighting old memories. Questions were beginning to surface across international tennis media. Some critics wondered whether the excitement surrounding Eala had outpaced her results. They pointed to her limited Grand Slam success, a difficult clay season, an early Strasbourg exit, and her opening round loss in Paris. By the time she arrived in Birmingham, she was carrying 3 heavy burdens: a disappointing clay campaign, the scars of last year's Birmingham heartbreak, and a growing list of doubters waiting for her to stumble again. But there was one thing the critics completely underestimated: the Filipino fans. They didn't simply watch from home. They traveled. They crossed continents. Social media videos documented supporters arriving from around the world. Filipino flags lined the venue. Fans packed the stands. The energy became impossible to ignore. Even the Lawn Tennis Association highlighted the incredible support in its own promotional content. For a WTA 125 event, the atmosphere felt closer to a Grand Slam. Then came the draw. Eala entered as one of the tournament favorites, but her opening opponent carried a hidden challenge. Australia's Priscilla Hon. On paper, many expected a straightforward match. History suggested otherwise. The two had met before, and Hon had already beaten Eala during qualifying in Ningbo. It was a rivalry many casual fans didn't even know existed. Which meant Eala wasn't just opening her grass season. She was chasing redemption. Look at the timeline. May 26th, first round defeat at Roland Garros. May 27th, withdrawal from the doubles draw. May 28th, first grass court training sessions in Birmingham. May 30th, the hype begins building. June 1st, match day arrives. Just 6 days separated one of the most disappointing moments of her season from the beginning of a brand new chapter. Many players would have taken time away. Many players would have needed a break. Alex Eala wanted a court. And while some international outlets questioned the hype surrounding her, Filipino supporters saw something different. They saw resilience. They saw belief. Most importantly, they saw a player ready to turn the page and begin writing the next chapter of her journey toward Wimbledon. While critics were busy asking whether Alex Eala was overhyped, her supporters were watching something completely different. They were watching a young Filipino star walk through the players' entrance in Birmingham and make a decision. Paris was over. The disappointment was over. The doubts were over. And if you've been following her journey closely, none of this should surprise you. You saw the signs long before the headlines caught up. First came Auckland, where Eala reached the first WTA 250 final of her career. Then came Indian Wells, where she powered her way into the quarterfinals and announced herself on one of tennis' biggest stages. Last summer in Eastbourne, she came within a championship tiebreak of lifting the trophy. Different tournaments, different surfaces, same direction, upward. This isn't the story of a player catching lightning in a bottle. It's the story of a player building momentum. Every month, every season, every challenge, which is why Birmingham mattered. Not just because it was her first grass court match of the year, but because it represented a chance to erase old scars. Alex Eala versus Priscilla Hon, the seeded contender against the wild card. The player still carrying the sting of a first-round French Open loss against an opponent who had beaten her before. And when the final result flashed across the scoreboard, Filipino group chats exploded from Manila to Dubai, from London to Los Angeles. Eala had done it. The ghosts of Birmingham 2025 were finally gone. The tournament that once delivered heartbreak had now delivered redemption. More importantly, the road to Wimbledon was alive again. Need proof that Eala's impact extends beyond her fans? Listen to the people who actually play against her. Just 6 days before Birmingham, Eala lost to Iva Jovic at Roland Garros. What happened afterwards spoke volumes. Instead of posting a routine victory celebration, Jovic shared photos of their embrace at the net and wrote, "One of those days I wish there could be two winners. Love you, Alex Eala." Think about that for a moment. A player coming off a major victory wasn't celebrating herself. She was honoring her opponent. That kind of respect isn't given freely on the professional tour. It's earned. And then there's the reaction from some of the biggest names in tennis. When elite players openly acknowledge that facing Eala requires adjustments, different tactics, and a completely different mindset, it tells you something important. She isn't just another young player climbing the rankings. She's becoming a problem that opponents must solve. And that's why the overhyped conversation feels increasingly disconnected from reality. Because every major tournament keeps adding another piece of evidence. Now Birmingham becomes the first domino. The grass court season is only beginning. Ilkley waits next. Nottingham follows. The possibility of a Queen's Club appearance sits on the horizon. Then comes Eastbourne, where some of the most important ranking points of her season are waiting to be defended. Potential rematches. Old rivals. Unfinished business. Every event carries consequences. Every match matters. And beyond all of them stands the ultimate destination. Wimbledon. The dream isn't simply reaching the main draw. The dream is arriving there seated for the very first time. A position that would transform the tournament outlook entirely. But rankings only tell part of the story. The bigger picture is what makes this journey special. Every victory pushes boundaries that few players from Southeast Asia have ever approached. Every milestone creates possibilities that once seemed impossible. That's why Birmingham felt bigger than a single opening round win. Because for Alex Eala, it wasn't just another match. It was a statement. A reminder that one disappointing week doesn't define a season. A reminder that setbacks don't erase progress. And a reminder that sometimes the loudest answer to criticism isn't a press conference. It's winning. The grass season has officially begun. And suddenly, Wimbledon feels a lot closer than it did 6 days ago. And here's the part that makes this story bigger than rankings, bigger than points, and bigger than a single tournament. No Southeast Asian player has ever entered a Grand Slam as a seeded player in the Open era. Not one.
Think about that.
The Philippines is known for basketball. It's known for boxing. Tennis was never supposed to be the sport that carried the country's flag onto the biggest stages in the world. Yet Alex Eala is changing that reality. One match at a time. One tournament at a time. One historic breakthrough at a time. This is no longer about a player having a hot streak. This is about an athlete reshaping expectations for an entire region of more than 600 million people. That kind of impact doesn't happen often. It's the kind of shift that changes history. And remember where she was less than a week before Birmingham. Down 1-5 in the opening set against one of her closest friends on tour. Walking off the court at Roland Garros after another painful loss. With questions surrounding her season. With critics questioning her ceiling. With pressure building from every direction. What happened next? Nothing dramatic. No emotional press conference. No social media rant. No public frustration. No excuses. She congratulated her friend. Returned the love shown by Iva Jovic. Packed her bags. Boarded a plane. And within days she was training on grass. While others talked about resilience, Eala simply lived it. Filipino fans noticed immediately. The transformation from Court 14 in Paris to Court 1 in Birmingham became a rallying cry across social media. No rest. No complaints. No looking back. Just the next challenge. And when you add everything together, the picture becomes impossible to ignore. The heartbreaking loss in Paris. The overhyped headlines. The painful memories of Birmingham 2025. The friendship with Jovic. The pressure of defending crucial ranking points. The growing expectations of an entire nation. Every piece of the puzzle leads back to one simple dream. A dream Eala herself has spoken about many times. Wimbledon is my favorite slam. When I had big dreams as a young girl, they were always on that court. That's the destination. That's the reason. That's the dream that has fueled every training session, every flight, every comeback, and every sacrifice. Which is why Birmingham was never just a first-round match. It was a step forward, a chance to keep the dream alive, a chance to keep walking toward the grass courts she imagined as a child, holding a racket and believing anything was possible. Because sometimes the biggest victories don't come with trophies. Sometimes there's simply the opportunity to keep going, to keep believing, to keep chasing. And that's exactly what Alex Eala earned in Birmingham. Now the question belongs to you. If Eala successfully defends her Eastbourne points and arrives at Wimbledon with a historic seed next to her name, how far can she go? Third round? Round of 16? Quarterfinals? Or something even bigger? Drop your prediction in the comments before the next chapter of this grass court journey begins. Because the schedule is only getting more exciting. Ilkley, Nottingham, Queen's qualifying, Eastbourne, and finally, Wimbledon. The doubters are making noise today. But history has a habit of rewarding the people who saw it coming first. The rest of the tennis world may still be catching up. Alex Eala is already moving forward.